Am I unmuted? I am unmuted. Perfect. Josh, is there something in there that says member copy for that agenda? Is it just
Yeah.
not? Oh yeah, you just didn't have any minutes from last time. It was just the motion that you guys.
Is this just return on consent with
Yep.
details? Yeah, the only concern I have is this light fixture. Doesn't meet the dark sky. I mean, they've got the right notes, but this light fixture doesn't seem to comply with what they're asking for, so. Not sure I want to approve this. That's the only thing. So
We can.
can we make a note since they're not here? Can we get a communication back to them?
Yeah, I can send out.
So tell them. Excuse me. So we need to let this applicant know. Look, they've got on page MAT. Page MAT, I guess they're calling it materials. They have they're calling out their light fixture for dark sky compliance, which is the right notation, but the actual fixture itself doesn't appear to comply with that. So I'm just going to ask them to return with an appropriate light fixture that meets dark sky compliance, and then we'll look at it again.
Okay, I'll send them an email right now and see what kind of response I get.
Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Kaylee.
Good morning, Josh.
Morning.
You guys look like you're doing well today.
Yes. Getting ready for a short meeting, hopefully.
I'll do my best.
Is Chris out today?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
There we go.
Alex, would you take a look at something for me? I'm gonna put this up on the screen. I'm reluctant. I've got a consent item here. I'm reluctant to approve it. This is the light fixture. Everything looks in order except for this light fixture. And I'll take you to the last page of their documents where they actually have it in their plans. I don't know if you can read that. I'll blow it up for you, but they're calling it out with the notation here, if you can see it at the bottom. my opinion is the notation is fine, but the actual light fixture does not conform to that requirement.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, it does seem like they actually have a funny light bulb, right? Like looks like one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's physically not compliant. So I'm just going to tell them to come back with a new light fixture. Everything else looks fine.
Yeah, they can submit this is, and they can submit to the building department and clear this, by next.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the note's right, the light's not. So I'm pretty much, I guess I'm
So
feeling
the style of the
comfortable.
light that doesn't seem to match the house either. But I mean, maybe I'm being picky, but
Yeah, exactly. That had occurred to me as well. I didn't want to go that far, but
Hi, John.
morning, John. Hey, Valerie's here. Well, we got the whole gang and puts us on schedule here. Thanks. Okay. I guess we have everybody here. Is everybody up and running?
Yeah.
Hi, hello, this is Craig Schallenberger. I don't know if we're on our agenda item at this point, but.
Oh, Craig, we'll be with you in a minute. We just got started. All right, we got the gangs all here. Chris is out today, guys, so you're stuck with me. I'm sorry. Maybe disappointing for some. I don't know. We'll see. You all look good. I can see your happy faces. It's nice to see everybody. All right. Let's bring to order the SBAR meeting of, my goodness, it's November 20th already. Here we are. I guess we start with public comment, right?
Yes.
Do we have any members from the public that'd like to speak before we start today?
Julia, I know you'd like to speak on items later on the agenda, but if you'd like to speak during general public comment for something that is not on today's agenda, go ahead and raise your hand and I'll unmute you. Okay, looks like she's going to wait until later. So, Mr. Chair, we do not have any public comment at this time.
Thank you. All right, I'll close public comment for the moment. Agenda status report. Item number 3 was formally continued from the October 2nd SBAR meeting. The agent for this item has requested that this item be continued indefinitely. This item will not be heard during the 16th agenda and will be renoticed when it's prepared to return for review. Let's move on to the minutes from previous meeting. Let's see here. So these are we're going to review the meeting minutes of November 6th. If everybody has a copy, I've got one up here on the screen if you need it. So we're going to take a few minutes to review these minutes. Just shout out your comments when you have them. Do we have, is Joe with us today? I forgot to ask.
Yeah, I'm here.
Morning, Joe.
Morning, guys.
I think item number 2 needs to be more forceful in several areas. Like A and B are fine. C, I think it should be more clear.
Don't forget you have a second
Advance-
page there, Alex.
This is on, I'm talking about, the item number 2, the Painted Cave Road project.
The Wainwright project. Yeah, I was just making sure you, I didn't realize I wasn't looking at the second page, but there's 6 items on the following page as well.
So like maybe C can say, present proposed improvements in a more professional manner. Just a little bit more, instead of should and could and all that, just make it more direct.
Why don't
Yeah,
we change it?
maybe it could be combined with letter D because that's part of the same comment.
Right.
Yeah, maybe we just say, instead of depictions, just say plans to be improved to better articulate, I would just say plans to be improved in a professional presentation, professional level presentation.
Okay. Yeah, and combined with D. Okay. I think in D, and excuse me, in E, the second sentence is unnecessary because you already say that restudy the north elevation. So eliminate the north elevation was blank wall could be improved. Eliminate that. So it goes, the first sentence and the third sentence stay.
Okay, got that.
And on F, if you can eliminate the word still, some members feel that the front entry mass needs further study, but it is on the right track. On I, landscaping, is provide additional landscape screening.
On which item?
I'm talking about 2I. We're talking about the Painted Cave. Instead of additional efforts, just be more direct. Is provide additional landscape screening. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like letter I is saying the same thing over and over in 4 different sentences.
Yeah.
Like study southern side of house for proper screening. I don't think that needs to be there. We're already saying that they need to screen, right?
Right. I think you can eliminate the last 2 sentences there too on I.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of redundant.
Okay, got those.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't go back to the beginning and try to be more clear about, it seemed that we ended up saying you really need professional help. You've got to get it at this point because we've seen them too many times and it's too much of a slow, painful process to inch along in these upgrades.
Okay, so maybe on item B, on B, put architectural style is appropriate, but the design needs a professional
Presentation.
presentation, a professional, presentation.
Because I mean, we clearly said that to them.
And then you can eliminate, C, or eliminate C then, because you say right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you still, are you eliminating D as well then? Because we put those 2 together, right? Is that right?
No, D should, no, I would keep that then.
Yeah,
So is then D moving up to be with B as all one?
no, maybe it's becomes it goes back to being a separate item.
Okay, so it's now C.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
On the back to landscape at the end, the first sentence seems fine. Instead of landscaping should occur is, how do you say it in a positive way? Provide plan, landscaping to include all areas disturbed during construction.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, I think I think with that is good to me. Okay,
Very good.
all right.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
No, I had trouble with the sound. It was off, so I just want to check and make sure that's back on.
Reading you loud and clear.
10-4.
Okay, now to item 5 on the comment, which is only one comment. I eliminate the first two words and start. Use darker wall colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the second sentence, instead of should, put must.
Must be avoided.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just say to be.
Yeah. On the next, going to 6, item 6, lot 2. D, tile 2B, two-piece
Yeah.
tile.
Yeah.
Mission, two-piece mission tile, not style. Tile to be two-piece mission tile. Tile to be two-piece mission. I don't know. I guess you read.
Roof.
I'm not sure how you say it.
Roof to be roofing material to be two-piece mission tile.
There you go.
Item E should just say restudy of foam-based bump outs at window detail. Consider removing.
Yeah.
Just make sure those are only around the windows. They may have those other places. They may be fine, but it was just specifically the windows.
Yeah. Windows and doors.
I'm okay with 7. Going to 8.
8B tile to be
Same.
two-piece mission tile. Same note, please, Joe.
And E, E to say study extending roof rake detail.
All right, anything on 9? Anybody see anything there? Excuse me. Okay, I think that wraps up review of the minutes, so I'm going to close that. Thanks, Joe, for
We
getting
make a
that.
motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. So approve the minutes of November 6th. So back to November 20th. Staff, as for our members' informational briefings, do we have anything to discuss today?
No,
No discussion.
I mean, as a what I would like to share with the other members of this bar is that I think everything works better when we review the projects before the meeting. You know, it doesn't take long. You just go through the process, through the folder, figure out what's in there, and there are any issues, communicate immediately to Leah. And then then things will go a lot faster. The folder was pretty good this time. There was only one project that had a very large file, and maybe it should be a direction to applicants just to when they send a lot of files, just to say which one is it that needs to be open, right? Like if you say S-bar presentation file, right? So they open that one. Like for instance, in the San Marcos Preserves project, you have to only open file number 2, not number 1 or any of the other ones, because that's all we're going to see today, and so forth. And also a general directive to ask people, especially when they're coming for conceptual review, to avoid putting unnecessary information like green code guidelines or Title 24 documentation or whatever it is that you find in these files that have nothing to do with us, and make the meetings longer and confusing, and they clog the they take time to load and so forth. So maybe there's a way to, I'm not sure how to communicate that, but one way is to look at the files in advance and be prepared for that. Anyway,
maybe Leah, you guys could look at a file structure where you have just one PDF and then a folder with the extra information in it. I assume it's something, Leah, you could take back to the planning staff, but sometimes it gets a little confusing what's in there. Especially, I think in the last couple of meetings though, where we had a lot of public comment, there was a pretty good effort to organize that. That might work if we did that the same way. All right. Has anybody had any success with recruitment? We're actively recruiting for an additional board member. We have a pretty low count here, and in order to maintain quorum and do this successfully, we need more members on this board. I know Alex, you were pushing hard on that with me for a couple months, and we were both unsuccessful apparently. Excuse me. Does anybody have any news on that, or anybody had any success in talking to anybody that would join this board?
No.
Okay.
No.
I haven't reached out to anyone yet. What district was it that they need to live in? Was there a specific?
well, I think there's flexibility now on that.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
need to live in a specific district.
Okay.
Probably
Sure.
just right now, like any, I think, an architect or real estate professional in the county of Santa Barbara would do. All right. Preferably,
Oh, no.
yeah. We need people. All right. I'll close SBAR informational briefings. Do we have a staff update?
Yes, I do have an update for you guys today. So this last week, we did get an appeal. We actually got an appeal of all of the preserve projects that were granted preliminary approval at the last hearing. So those are going to be going through the process and going to the Planning Commission at some point. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on that.
Any new ordinances we should know about?
No new ordinances at the moment.
Amendments.
We do, I guess we do have one new, we're doing an extension of the COVID-19 emergency ordinance that was granted to allow temporary placement of projects in the outdoors and in setbacks. So that program will likely be extended until the emergency order is over. So that, I believe, is going to the board this December. But no other ordinance changes are going forward that I'm aware of.
Very good. All right. On to the thank you, Joe. On to the consent agenda. Today we have one item, the Lightstone residents. I'm not going to be, I was the reviewer. I'm not going to recommend approval of that today. Sending it back to them for further work. They just have some minor issues. We have, they did not supply a lighting fixture that meets the dark sky compliant requirements. So I'm going to ask them to revise that and resubmit for the next agenda.
Mr.
So moving
Chair,
on, yes.
excuse the interruption. We have the applicants on the line now, and they did receive confirmation from their planner in response to that light fixture. And the planner is under the impression that it does meet the requirements for the dark sky compliance, but they're here to make comment to that.
Planner
issue.
here.
The applicant, the planner is here as well.
Okay, who's the planner?
It's Travis Lee.
Hey Travis, I'm gonna try and do this quickly, so bear with me.
Okay, thanks.
Let me present on my screen what I think the issue is. Everybody, this would be a good time to take a quick break if you want. This will probably take about 2 minutes. This is the light fixture submitted, right? So it's supposed to, the light source is supposed to be shielded, Travis, and I don't see any way that that's going to happen with this light fixture. It can't be the bulb that's shielded. It actually has to be the housing that's shielded. So we cannot see the source of light. Now they did provide an accurate note on the last page of their submittal. It says, note for tile 24 and dark sky compliance, the top portion of the fixture will be shielded metal and max light dark sky LED drivers to be used as shown below, which is fine. But again, this light fixture, that note sounds great. This light fixture doesn't seem to match the note. Like there's no, that light fixture does not appear as it's being displayed to be able to accomplish that. So what I'm asking them to do is return with a light fixture that actually meets the requirement of that that ordinance and that note.
The puck LED by itself is not enough for that.
No, you can't have the LED is the actual fixture itself. So those can be changed out. It's the housing that we're concerned with. The actual light fixture, not the light bulb or the LED driver, are not necessarily going to get it there. That's not been our standard for approving these. What they need is an actual light fixture that has a shielded design where the actual point source of the light is completely tucked up underneath and downward casting. And if they read through the ordinance or the handouts that county has, it's pretty clear. I mean, they seem to know what they're going after. It's just this light fixture, and Alex and I both reviewed it. We just don't see that. It just is a bad precedent that this light fixture they're presenting here is blatantly non-compliant. So.
Okay, understood.
So it's not a big deal. I mean, this project's probably ready to submit to the building department. You just bring it back next week or next on our next agenda with a light fixture that works, and we'll move it to onto the consent agenda, and they'll probably have no problem getting approval. Everything else looks fine. Okay, I apologize to the applicant. So I know it's frustrating, but this is the rules.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
All right, I'm gonna close our the standard agenda. So everybody have their seatbelts on. Get your trays up. Get your seats in the upright position. Here we go. Item number 1, raw land development new. That's an interesting one. Do we have our applicants here? If you are, please state your name for the record. I'm sorry, I'm looking at a piece of paper in front of me. It's hilarious. I'm looking at an old agenda. My bad.
Yeah,
Item number 1.
gonna say,
That's my bad. Fitzpatrick new single family dwelling. Again, I guess I wasn't the one that was ready. The applicant's here, and can they state their name for the record?
Yeah, hi, Mary Androlitis. I'm here, as is Patrick Berg from my office.
And Brian Banks,
Welcome.
the agent for the owners.
All right, I'll be doing double duty today. I'm driving this screen and trying to run the meeting. So just, holler at me when you want to move from slide to slide. This is an item we've already seen before. So if you want to start from the previous minutes and kind of give us an update on what we last saw and what we're here to do today, that'd be great. We should start there.
Sure, Josh. This is Brian. So we were last in front of the board here in April of this year, and we'll go through the comments. Reasonably well received. The main issue was the installation of the story poles and the potential for a site visit. So we do have those poles up. And in terms of any changes, just very minor tweaks to the plan is essentially what you've reviewed last time. And I'll let Mary and Patrick take over from there in terms of the addressing the comments in the minutes.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll mention, one of the comments was regarding the detailing for the screens. Since that meeting, we now have a general contractor on board and we're continuing working on those. I think the concern was that the vertical screens could warp over time, and that's certainly not something that we want to see. So we're continuing to work on those details. And then I don't know if you want to review the plans again. I'm happy to walk you through them, or just focus on the story pole visit.
Yeah, I think why don't we go through the SBAR comments A, B, C, and D, and make a presentation based on that outline, and then somewhere in the process, let's look at the discussion on the story poles. I think it basically is item B. So item A, architectural status appropriate. Project has been carefully executed. We already talked about that. So site visit story poles along the ridge line, covered decks in southwest corner of structure required. So let's kind of get a poll here. Have the board members visited the site and reviewed the story poles?
Yes.
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 Okay. Conceptual landscape was appropriate and presented. Board appreciates use of natives. So we wanted to define the location of the lemonade berry on proposed plans. So why don't we direct us to that? And then the last item here, return with additional information. So vertical screens and so forth. And I see, let's see, we're agendized today for, what are we agendized for here?
It's further conceptual, Josh. We have to go to the zoning administrator.
I think
okay,
it has to
very
go
good.
to the zone administration, right? I mean,
Correct.
Yeah.
So we'll only be receiving further conceptual comments today.
So what page should we find this lemonade berry tree, and how do we want to review your
try
screening?
16 is good.
16. This is taking a while to load, everybody, so hold on to your hats. There we go. Big
Hey,
one.
everyone. I'm Scott Menzel.
There we
I'm the
go.
landscape architect. Down in the bottom right corner, you will see a note. Yes, towards the left end of that, you'll see a note that says existing lemonade berry. I mean, excuse me, towards the right side of that oval you just drew. And there's a clouded symbol. It's actually on the neighbor's property mostly, and follows
This one here.
to the right of that. You'll see a note. It just says, yep, right there.
Okay. So
That was the last time. The last time I presented, that note was there, but the symbol defining where that planting was omitted from the plan. So I just unfroze the layer that was on.
In there. Okay, well, that's exciting.
Yep.
What about the screens?
So again, we don't have further details to show. It was a comment, and we're continuing to work with the builder on that. So we'll
Okay,
return with more
so
detail with preliminary.
What do you guys need from us? What action do you guys need to move forward?
Josh, what we're hoping for is to hear your comments, the board's comments on the story pole installation, confirming that, size, bulk, scale, neighborhood compatibility, so that our planner knows that we're ready to go forward to the ZA.
Okay, can one of our board members form a comment about that, and then let's move this forward.
I would like to do that. The size, bulk, and scale of this new residence is compatible with the neighborhood, and the profile is, I believe, is not visible from the beach. The project is well designed and ready for preliminary when it returns from the what is the zoning administration, the zoning administrator hearing.
Okay, and I'm going to recommend that this return on preliminary final for its next agenda with us, if that's possible. So please return accordingly. Next, we're going to move on to the next item unless anybody has any objection.
Thank you all.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, item number 2 will be Equinomi. All right. Cabana. We have our applicants here.
Yes, Bill Wolf with Pacific Architects.
Welcome, Bill. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Let's see. We have a conceptual review here today of a 799 net square foot cabana attached to existing guest house. Conversion of existing guest house to an ADU under a separate permit, and a new 20-foot by 50-foot volleyball court, new patio and trellis of 175 square feet attached to the newly converted ADU. No grading or tree removal proposed. Okay. Okay, the rest of that's kind of boring, so I'm not going to read that. All right. Again, just kind of guide me through your presentation.
Yeah,
why don't you get us located on the site and start from there?
Yeah, if you want to start with the vicinity map, if that's helpful, and then we can go on to site photos there if you want to zoom into that vicinity map. It's in Hope Ranch. We have gone through design review. At Hope Ranch, one correction to the project description. Because of the Hope Ranch rules, we will not be converting the existing guest house into an ADU. That they don't allow accessory structures connected to ADUs, and equally the septic system would be a challenge for us to do so. So that is a change. The guest house will remain a guest house. It's off of Via Vistosa, as you can see there, kind of the orientation, sort of the west side of Hope Ranch, as you would. If you want to go to the site photos, Josh, I don't know if you have those handy. Probably
one that says photo mapper is good, Josh. The file that says photo mapper PDF, there you go. You zoom in and you can see the whole story right there.
Sure. So it's a very long driveway that takes you up to the existing house. Difficult to see the lot and the home from the street via Vistosa. It's pretty well wooded down on the north side. You can see that dog leg of the other property there. Slopes are all around it, essentially front and back. You can see also in the backyard of the existing house, the existing guest house. We are going to be attaching our ADU, not our ADU, I'm all messed up. We're going to be attaching our cabana to that guest house on the south side. And the sports court, which at some point may end up being a pool, will be between the existing house and the new cabana. So if you want to go, you can see kind of the general style of both the guest house and the main residence. The roof in particular has these long overhangs with sort of a pointed end, sort of typical of the 70s look that is. It's a single story, fairly low slung, innocuous kind of a home. Are the photos there, Josh? That would probably be helpful to see, just so you can get a feel for the existing house, because we're really going to try and match the home.
Yeah, this particular page only seems to have one page, so I have the drawing set. So there's only one page here.
Oh, it's probably in the drawing set then. If you want to scroll, it might even be at the bottom there. Apologize for its position.
The last page.
We can go through each one if you want. That might, if it's easier to. Oh, you've got to scroll down to the bottom there. Let's see. No, that's
the last page. Seems to be detailed.
Yeah, no, that's radiant floor. Maybe it was a separate submitted piece.
Yeah, I don't think there are pictures on the file, but it's really not that important. I think it's pretty obvious by.
Yeah.
If you start on page 4, you get to see the site plan.
Yeah,
then the elevations. It's a pretty basic thing.
It is. Yeah, very simple. Again, we're matching. You can see that we're attaching to the existing guest house there with the cabana space. It looks like those are older drawings. Somewhere in that, maybe the earlier site plan shows a sports court, volleyball court. Generally, it's a matching of the existing house and existing guest house.
The architecture is on page 7. You can in 7 you see there you go, existing and proposed right there.
Yeah, that's pretty much the new. So on the east elevation there, you could see that that was the additional area, and we've got details already. Like I said, we've gone through Hope Ranch already. They've given us their okay, conceptually approved actually this Thursday or Wednesday. So we're here to take it as far as we can. We will have a landscape plan. That is a requirement that Hope Ranch is requesting. And so we will be coming back with a landscape plan, which we do not have currently. So.
All right. Any board members have any specific questions for Mr. Wolf? Okay. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this item?
Mr. Chair, do you have any requests to speak?
We do have a request to speak.
We do not.
Okay. I'm going to make the assumption that we need you to return with, I think, 2 things. One, well, first of all, with your landscape plan. And then I think you should work with the planning staff to revise your project description so that that's clear. So if you're going to include things like volleyball courts or not in your proposed application, make sure those things are noted on the plan, or get those things into coordination. And unless any board member has any specific comments to the project, I think we could have you return for a preliminary final or return our next agenda agendized for a preliminary final review if you're able to bring in the rest of the information needed, which I'm not going to go into because I think you already know what you need to do.
Yeah.
Anybody have any specific comments related to the architecture? We don't have a landscape plan to comment on.
If you
at this
are
point.
mentioning that the sport court may turn into a pool, but you're not putting that in your description currently, correct?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, so you mentioned that the sport court may turn into a pool, but you're not trying to get approval for it as a land use permit for a future pool, correct?
Not right now. No, that would come in as a separate submittal later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody want to add any comments?
Yeah, I think it would be helpful to see a picture of the existing house, just to be sure. I can imagine what it looks like from the roof plan, but it would be nice to see a couple photos of the house.
I did
Okay, let's
yes,
add that to the list of things that we return with. Hold on a second, Bill. Any other board members have any specific comments to the work that's presented?
I just have one question. Can I just ask a quick question? So
Sure.
you're attaching the cabana to the existing guest house, is that right?
Yes. Yes.
And they have an interior access and they can just connect?
No, there is no interior connection there.
Oh,
Yeah, those are dash doors. We're actually removing doors on that south side of the existing guest house.
oh,
That wall will be the common wall, but there's no interior connection.
right. I can't tell that they're dashed looking on the screen. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to see.
And then the sports court goes in the area between the house and the,
Yes, and I did submit a plan with that. I don't know why it's not showing there. I think these are slightly older drawings, but anyway, I will have that. I do have it. It sits in that area where you see the dimension string there. It's a 20 by 60 sand volleyball court.
Very good.
okay.
Right in there. Yeah.
Yeah, right in there. Okay.
Right in here.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
so it doesn't sound like we have any further comments for you on what's been submitted. So return with, more concise information, coordinate your project description to your plans, bring updated plans, bring a landscape plan, bring photos of the existing residents, and a complete presentation. And we'll recommend this to be on the agenda for preliminary and final and the next time we see it, unless there's any objection to that or anything else. I'm going to move us on to the next item.
Sounds great.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too.
Okay, next item up for bid here on The Price is Right, the Bennett residence. I've got a lot of files in here, so Alex, you've been doing a good job of keeping us sorted out. If you know which one I should go to, say so. While that's happening, we've got the Bennett residence. So do we have the applicants available here today? Looks like Dave Mendrew and Andrew Bennett. Are you here?
This is Mike Butoni. I'm the civil engineer. I'm here.
Okay, Mike, welcome. We have Dave. Is he trying to get into the meeting? Anybody?
I'm Scott,
I'll read.
I'm Scott Menzel, the landscape architect.
Hey, all right. We're getting warmer.
I'm here as well. My name's Alex. I work at NMA Architects.
All right, we got the architect. Okay, so we have a preliminary and final approval of an interior remodel for a 1,558 gross square foot garage remodel of a 644 gross square foot of 644 gross square feet, a 598 gross square foot addition to this existing single family dwelling, and a detached covered patio of 330 gross square feet. I pretty well butchered that, sorry. The project includes 11,000 square feet, approximately, or 11,763 square feet of landscaping, new landscaping.
Okay.
We got a bunch of hardscaping going in 60. So anyway, pepper trees. Everybody get your bearings on this.
Hey Josh, this is Dave Mendrow. I had a technical difficulty, but I think I'm in now.
good. I think I did a good job stalling for you.
Thank you.
All right, we're all set for you.
Okay.
Let's go back. I'm just trying to pull up the last minutes. We had comments. We could have 4 comments from our last meeting. So why don't you just bring us up to date on where we last saw you, where it's gone since, and maybe why don't we use the 4 comments here as an outline to walk this through.
Sure. I think the architecture was well received by the board last round, and I can go into as much or as little detail as you'd like. We haven't changed anything since the last time. We just have all the complete construction documents. All the comments related to the landscape, and we have Scott here to present the landscape plan. So I'll leave it up to you how much detail you'd like me to get into.
Yeah,
really, Scott's the one that needs to address the comments.
All our members have access to the plans, so you know, they may have looked at them already or looking at them while we're having the meeting. So let's do that.
Okay.
So items A and B are kind of unspecific, but consider doing a landscape plant perimeter of the property, massive lower shrubs, and provide details. So yeah, why don't you walk us through that landscape plan? Just tell me what sheets you want me on.
If you could just scroll down until you hit the first landscape sheet.
23. Go to 23, Josh.
The last time the board reviewed this project, there was no landscaping associated with it. So you haven't seen anything, and I could take you pretty briefly through each sheet.
Yeah, I just went to page 23 and
I think there's a separate file for the landscape. If you go to that file.
Well, here's another set of plans.
Yeah, there's one called landscape PDF, the file.
So yeah, it just is a, we come back to this. So I've got 2 sets of plans. Just want to note this for the November 13 November, what's the difference here? Hearing presentation. So we're looking at the plans that are called out as hearing presentation. I think this is where our comments are going to be centered around, just for the record.
All right, this is a perfect sheet to be looking at. As far as hardscape goes, we're replacing an existing asphalt driveway with a concrete paver. All other flat work is going to be a gray concrete with a top coat finish. And then we also have pea gravel pathways. Some of the comments, I think, when you previously reviewed this project pertain to perimeter plantings and what was viewed from the street down below. We are proposing to remove, there's a row of pepper trees along the top of the slope up from the road. And we're proposing to remove all the peppers, keep a few oak trees, and then replace the peppers with olives. And there's approximately 8 new olives going in, and 3 oak trees. So I think that will greatly improve the aesthetics from the street, and also provide a bit of privacy and screening from the house above. And then on the north side of the house, along an existing concrete swale, there's a row of shrubs that are going in to enhance the screening and privacy on the north side. There really isn't a privacy issue above to the east, nor is there one in the northeast corner of the lot. So you won't find any new proposed planting there. And then generally the rest of the planting is predominantly a mix of native and other drought tolerant plants. And on the next page, you should see a plant palette with a photo of all the plants that have been incorporated into the plan. Or not, these seem to be a bit out of order. but I'm sure you'd be interested in looking at the landscape lighting too. This is our hardscape plan. These are above the hardscape plan. It seems to be all of Mike Viatoni's civil plans. And now we're getting into NMA's set of plans.
You have to tell me where to go, man. I don't.
Okay, scroll down. Keep going.
The full landscape plans are going to be in a separate file. This hearing presentation is pared down per the instructions for the file submittal.
Okay, so we got a civil, we got photos, material board, landscape. Here we go. So we got a separate package for landscape. So this might be what you're looking for, Sewer.
Yeah, if you just scroll down, there's you see irrigation details, the planting, which we just looked at. This is the plant palette. This one, once it loads, I think that was the hydrozone plan. So you could keep scrolling. Our water calculations, everything's under the limitations. Soils report. If you keep going down another sheet or two, we should hit the landscape lighting. This is it. So there's one fixture we're proposing, and that's a path light fixture. We have it along the entry walk on the south or the west side of the house, and then a few path lights on the north or the east side of the house. And if you go one more page down, you'll see a cut sheet of that fixture. And that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Any other presentations from the architect or the civil engineer? I know we have you here. Okay, I'm going to open this up to questions from the board. Do we have any?
No.
No.
All right. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item today?
No, we do not.
All right. It's back to you, Dave. I think any other last chance to make any presentation before we jump into your comments from the board?
No, I think I'm just here to answer any questions that you have. Again, we're proposing exactly what we showed you last time around.
Very good. I think we'll have our esteemed landscape architects start us off with comments today.
I think the landscape plan looks suitable to the site, and the additional screening looks like it'll help that west side and the north side of the project.
Great. Valerie, do you have any comments?
Well, since they're here for final, should we just take a quick look through the details? This looks like the architectural details. I mean, the whole project looks carefully executed. And
yeah, why don't we, well, I've got it up here. Here's their material palette.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's well done. You know, it's well detailed. You can look at pages, you know, starting on, I don't know, starting on 18, 19, 20, all the sections, details, they're all there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've kind of been looking at these on my other computer here, and it appears very complete. So anybody like to make a motion? It looks like we're ready to head this into final approval. Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for preliminary and final submittal, final as submitted.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Go build your project.
All right. Thanks for your help, you all. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, on to the next item. We're on to the Cougar project, item number 4, We have a color board and a set of drawings here. And let's see who we've got here. Ron Sorgman, agent from the owner. Kevin Kuga have considered preliminary final approval of a 697 square foot addition to the existing 1385 square foot single family dwelling and a 476 foot garage. No grading. It's on a quarter acre. Do we have our applicants available? Is that a rep? We got our applicants here. Craig, yeah, I think you're on mute. I'm mute. Craig? Yep. Oops.
Oh, close.
Craig? Craig?
I'm here.
There he is. All right.
Okay.
Very good. Let's see where we leave off last.
Sorry.
Project
we just need to
acceptable in terms of mass, bulk, and scale is the last comment. So it looks like you're here on final. So you want to just kind of bring us up to date on what you've changed since the last time we were through, and it looks like we might be ready for get the home plate here today.
Sure. Right. Really, all I've done that's any different is to provide the color board, and then a little bit of additional detailing was requested last time, but the biggest difference is the landscape plan. So there's been no change to the design essentially from last review. Honestly, there's not not a terribly large amount of information to share today that was any different from previous. So I can walk you through the landscape plan briefly if you like. The structural drawings are included. That is different from last time as well, but doesn't really affect design review.
Page 24.
Yeah, it would
Josh,
be
24.
It would be the last. I think it's the last sheet. Yeah.
There you go. Go ahead.
So, so effectively, what we've done is replace lawn for some planting and low water use plantings, and a little bit of stone hardscape there. Really just a street front aesthetic. The rear, there's no changes proposed to the rear of the property. But I think the plan and the images are fairly self-explanatory. We will obviously include an irrigation plan with our building department submittal, but I think this should give you a general sense for the street front.
Like you got a couple layers turned off there you might want to look at. Just,
yeah.
I think the essence of, well, the landscape portion of it seems to be intact, so I don't think it's a problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any details for us to review to achieve this?
Well,
door and window?
It's really just matching existing. So other than the windows, we're proposing the casings in sort of a craftsman style casing versus it was just a stucco return previously.
Okay.
I think it just gives a little more depth around the doors there. It's back on that sheet there, that typical window section.
Okay.
Detail 12 on A61.
Are you proposing any, sorry to interrupt, are you proposing any outdoor lighting?
Just at the entry, you'll see there's a note call out there at the main entry to the building.
Yeah.
They're on the proposed north elevation, and then that is also on the color board. And the rear does have a little security light at the rear patio, but it's just existing to remain.
What does in progress refer to?
Well, I created this sheet as a placeholder, but there is no grading proposed other than new footing. So that sheet will probably just get removed.
All right then. Okay. We have a light fixture here. Can you, so it doesn't appear to be dark sky compliant. Can you speak to that?
Well, I just thought the architecture above, I mean, would create that. There is, it's underneath the roof covering there.
Okay,
So
very good. That's fine. I understand. I'm just going to move us forward here. So, all right. Do we have any questions from board members?
I have a question. If you could go back to the landscape plan.
Sure.
And the planners can correct me, but I believe if we're approving it for final, you do need your Muello calculations on the sheet.
Okay. Any other questions?
In the elevation, you show some larger shrubs in the front of the house, but you only have kind of small scale perennials in the plant photos. Is there existing very larger shrubs in front of the house currently?
No, those were done before we hired. This is Phil Suding that did the landscape plan. The elevations were done prior, and my mistake to not correct the elevations. Those were really just put there as a placeholder back at the time. So, okay. I should update that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, I guess I do have another question about that light fixture. I think that the way the dark sky compliant reads, it's the fixture itself that needs to have the light concealed in the house.
I think we're gonna hit that. So let's if there's no questions, I'm gonna open this up to public comment. Do we have any members of the public that want to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move us forward. But before I give you guys comments, I'm going to try and summarize where I think this is headed. We could probably grant you preliminary approval, or I guess we already did. We could probably give you preliminary approval with the requirement to come back on consent with the following items. We need WELO calcs, and I think your landscape plan is missing some layers, so that needs to be cleaned up. Is there anything else on the landscape that we wanted that you commented on?
No, I just was asking for that clarification. It's mostly the calculations and the full plant path, as long as it's shown.
Okay, so bring it back with those items, and then a dark sky compliant light fixture. The one you have is not dark sky compliant. I think the match existing will work, in your details, I think, hold up for that. And I think the other thing is just to eliminate drawings that are unnecessary to this process of SBAR approval. Sure. So, any of those temporary sheets, and just looks like there's just kind of this set feels a little bit tossed together. So tighten it up and make sure it's concise to what we're here to approve. And I think we'll review that on consent to give you your final.
Great.
Does any board member have any comments to add to the project at this point?
No.
I have one other comment or question, is what your garage door is going to be.
Well, I don't know if, this is existing to remain.
Okay, can you bring so I think maybe the comment might be to come back with a picture of the existing garage and talk about how you're going to paint it or not paint it, or what you're going to do with it.
Treat it, right.
Okay.
Now, in the project description, it says you're adding a garage. That's not the case?
Adding a garage?
Well, it says.
No, that
says a final approval of 697 square foot addition and a 476 square foot garage.
Yeah, I think that.
Oh, I think staff might have just maybe could have, that description could have been better, but no, that's an existing garage. There's no changes proposed.
Okay. All right, well, let's add that to the list of remedies for the next round. Have the work with the planner to get a better project description. All right, so would anybody like to make a motion for preliminary approval of this with my recommendation it comes back on consent? with the items we've talked about today. Is that acceptable? Anybody want to jump on that one?
I'll make a motion for preliminary and coming back for final on consent
Second the motion.
Okay.
with the comments that Josh.
Okay, Joe, just so we're keep ourselves online here, can you read back what their comments are for the return to consent? Just make sure we got this right.
Yes, just one second. So
Sure.
to start, I have return with an updated full landscape plan that includes WELO calculations. Return with dark sky compliant light fixtures. Provide photo of existing garage door and indicate, I guess we don't need to indicate the paint color. So you just want a photo of the existing garage door, period.
Yeah, and,
right?
and some indication of how it's being proposed in this step. So, with proposed finish,
So
whether
maybe-
it's existing, could be existing finish or a new finish, who knows?
Okay, got it. And then update project description to indicate garage is existing.
Mm-hmm.
And then eliminate drawings from submittal that are not pertinent to SBAR review.
Okay, so back to the maker of the motion. Does that sound acceptable?
Yes.
All right. So we have a second from Alex. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? None opposed. So motion carries. You have preliminary approval. Come back on consent, and we'll see you then. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you all.
You're welcome. All right. The next item. How are we doing on time? We're good. So we're on to the. Oh, I can't wait for this. Alex, I want you to pronounce that.
Oh, very, very easy.
Come on, you can pronounce. Give it a shot.
Persian name, and I would say Kodavandelu. Kodavandelu.
Okay. So you added some nice flair to that. All right. So Kodavandelu Guest House and Garage, item number 5 today. Do we have our applicants here with us today?
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome. Please state your name for the record, and we'll get you started.
Thank you. My name is Mehdi Hadiji, Mehdi. And we are proposing a guest house and detached 2-car garage.
All right.
And
This is a further conceptual review of an 800 square foot guest house and a 400 square foot detached garage. So looks like you guys were here before. Why don't you bring us up to speed on what's changed since the last time we've seen you, and then looks like we could just go quickly through the SBAR comments that we have. Your agenda is for further conceptual today, so we're not going to be able to take any. It's interesting. So I'm looking at this. Joe, maybe you can help me. It says we had a vote 5-0 for preliminary approval. Project may return for final approval with the full board, but it looks like we're agendized here for further conceptual. What's going on here?
Yeah, and that's what the agenda said.
Yeah,
that typo.
I'm seeing the same thing. I'm not really sure what's going. Are there changes to the project, and are we looking for revised preliminary, or I don't know?
There were no changes.
Is the planner on?
This is a planner, Travis. I'm looking at the approved August 28th SBAR minutes, and it says applicant may return for further conceptual review.
Yeah, actually, if you look at the action on this, the number is 19 BAR 171, which is for another project. So it looks like when this was. Are these? Can we look at the notes? Are these notes appropriate for this project?
No, those are not the same that I have for the approved August 28th SBAR minutes.
Okay, so we'll just want to go through the correct minutes for
Yeah,
this one.
It's a typo. Yeah, it was item number 1 on the standard agenda on August 28th.
Do you have, Travis, do you have those comments on those minutes?
Yes,
available?
I'll just upload them to to this box folder right now.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
One
Okay.
moment,
So give us a moment to do that.
I have the comment if you want me to read it.
Yeah, just hold your horses there. I think we're doing okay on time. So let's just get this in front of us so we move forward confidently.
Yeah, I think what happens, Mr. Chair, is that they repeated somehow the comments for the following item were put here. They were repeated twice for item 5 and 6.
Yeah, here we go. August 28th. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to go off. Everybody can see this. So the comments are as follows. Architecture of the existing structure appears to be much more sophisticated than proposed structures. Size, bulk, and scale of the proposed structure is appropriate. Return with better illustrations of the existing house and how the proposed structures will relate to existing development. Project is within high fire hazard. Shall be designed with appropriate materials. Return with images that show the disposition of the house and how it's sited adjacent from the road. Convey how the project shows up in the neighborhood. And return with architecturally correct drawings. So we're going to start with item A, if you don't mind, applicant. I'm going to have you, I'm sorry, not A, item C. So you're asked to come back with better illustrations of the existing house and how the proposed structures will relate to the existing development. So I've got a package of drawings here. Please walk us through a presentation that addresses that comment. Tell us what page to go to, please.
Page A1.2 and 3. Page
Okay.
A1.2 and A1.3 shows the existing house. On page A1.2, at the center of the page, I have the site plan with the numbers, which is related to the photo around the site plan. So that
shows the two. Yeah, there you go.
This is the guest house, which everything matches with the existing house. An existing house, you will see it on page A1.2. All the numbers related to the site plan, and page A1.3 shows the detail of the existing house.
Correct. Okay. And then A1, this A-1 is your proposed
correct. This is the correct
project,
yeah.
So this is the new guest house.
Right.
And where's the 2-car garage that we're looking at? Here it is here, right?
Go next page.
Okay,
Yeah,
very good. All right. So I'm going to assert at the moment that those look like better illustrations. So thank you. Project, we'll see how that goes though. Project within the high fire area. So have you addressed the high fire requirements in your detailing?
It's plaster and the emission tile, and the window doors are aluminum clad, just matching with the color and material I called out.
Okay, and then this last comment here is to return with images that show the disposition of the house and how it's sited adjacent from the road. Convey how the project shows up in the neighborhood.
If you look at the two things, one is the page A1, the east elevation.
Mm-hmm.
The foothill street, when we look at the street, A1, the guest house elevation. The next one, please.
You want A1 or A2.2?
A2.1, yeah. So if you look at the east elevation on the upper right-hand side of east elevation of the guest house.
Yes.
The foothill, if you look at, you cannot see the guest house. Basically, barely through hedges of just 6 foot high hedges, existing hedge, you see the ridge of the guest house. And Josh, is it possible to look at that JPEG? It's just one 8.5 by 11,
yes,
which shows the neighborhood. So I can explain to the board member, please.
This one here.
It's one JPEG file. It's 8.5 by 11. Yeah, it should be on a folder.
So I have this one here, which is an image,
that one,
an aerial.
Correct.
Sorry, there's probably a delay on your end. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, this one. So our project is located at the northwest corner. There's a huge oak tree there, which covers the view from the west property and the residential on the west side. And basically, the west of our property and southern part of our property is covered with the landscape and huge trees, so nobody can see the development. And from the foothill street, there's the hedges, and then basically you can see the ridge of our garage and the guest house.
Very good. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see if there's more questions about that. So I think that covers that. So, architecturally correct drawings. Looks like you've returned with architecturally correct drawings. We'll see how that turns out as well. So, sir, any more presentation you'd like to make?
That's all.
No? Okay. There's no more presentation. Oh, sorry, I'm having can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
My internet connection flickered there. So I'm going to repeat this in case it didn't get through. Does the applicant want to make any more further presentation?
Not really. If any question I can answer, I would be happy to answer any question.
Well, let's see what happens here. Do we have any questions from the board?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Valerie.
I'm interested to hear more about the new driveway getting to these structures and what it looks like and how much terrain there is.
Oh, go ahead. Just put it on the bottom.
It's pretty flat.
And,
It's
I'd like
flat
to,
area.
Really like the peanut butter.
the garage doesn't match, the garage is board and bat and the rest of the house, and the new guest house is stucco and mission tile. Why doesn't the garage match the rest of the structures on the site?
That's more. Here, open your mouth. Yeah. He's got both. You can get. I'm gonna stick it in his mouth. Yeah, you got one.
Mandy, did you want to answer John's question?
Yeah, yes. For the material for the garage, is that the question?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had my mute on. Go ahead.
Yeah, not a problem. We can change that to plaster to match with the rest.
So can you guys say what the question was again? I got kind of funky connection there.
Well, my question was, why does the garage is board and bat, whereas the house and new guest house is Mediterranean stucco with tile? So my question was, why doesn't the garage match that?
Did you get a good answer?
Well, he said he would make it match, so that's pretty good.
All right, let's move. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, I had a question about the driveway to the new structures. It's not real clear what that looks like and what material it is and.
Okay, back to the applicant, do you have any information today about the material and the driveway?
Yes, it's a DG material, but it shows on the site plan. You can follow from the note number 11, that's the beginning. When you see that the circle 11, which shows the photo, that and it's pretty flat area. You can see photo number 11.
And on the image 5 looking east on A1.2, it appears that you have a cobbled driveway.
Correct.
And okay.
That's existing. I mean,
yeah, I got it. I'm gonna make a comment about that, Valerie. You might too. So, all right. Any other questions? Do we have any questions from our landscape architect?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna ask for a landscape plan. And a landscape materials, like a hardscape plan as well. I'm not actually seeing the legend for the call outs. Am I missing that on my screen?
Okay, so sounds like a question, two questions. One, doesn't appear to be a landscape plan. I think I just want to refine that. Well, we can come back and ask that as a comment. So he doesn't have one, but let's save that for comments. But question is
that there's a legend for these call outs.
Yeah.
11 and
Is there a legend, sir, for this call out?
It's no, the number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 11, 12, they are related to photo on page 2.
Yeah, so those are his photo. Those are call outs for the different photos he's taking.
Okay, I'll wait for comment. Okay.
All right, any other questions? Okay.
One other question, have you talked to the fire department about your driveway and your new structures?
Yeah, they don't have any concern. I sent a drawing to them.
Very good. Do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move it back to the board for comments, unless I'm going to give you one last chance. Any other presentation you want to make today before we launch into comments?
No, thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, comments. Valerie, why don't you start?
Well, yeah, I agree with some of the things that came out during the questions, which is that we need more information about the landscape, about the driveway, the materials, and the comment that the garage should be in the same character as the guest house and the main house.
Okay. Anybody have any additional comments, or does anybody agree with Lori's comments? John?
No.
Are you in agreement with Lori's comments? John?
I'm in agreement. Oh,
John, are you in agreement with her comments?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Alex?
Yeah, I agree with those comments.
Kaylee?
Yes, I'm in agreement. And I'd like to add, the images are all taken from internal to the property. It would be good to have one looking back at the new structures from the public view for how those structures will be reviewed.
Okay, a little refinement to the comment on the landscape. I think fundamentally looks to be a pretty well-developed site. So I think, just under discussion here, can we limit the landscape improvements that we're asking for to areas of disturbance that are related to the remodel and the additions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that means to the applicant, you can be a bit judicious about landscape improvements as a part of your proposed project, that focus on areas that may or should be disturbed during the construction, like replacement of landscaping material, and then let's focus on areas adjacent to the immediate area of the new proposed structures, and then also the driveway that connects those to the rest of the existing development. And I only had one other comment I'd like to add to your comments, which is to, on your site plan, delineate where your surface materials change from the existing cobble to your new proposed DG or whatever it is, just a little bit more information there. And I believe, looks like you're providing a dark sky compliant light fixture appears to be the right kind of fixture. So I'm just going to give you a comment that, you know, since you're presenting that, it seems to be appropriate. The dark sky light fixture you've presented seems appropriate. So, and then a last comment that the board appreciates the improvements to the drawings, especially the exterior elevations. I think, you know, just keep working on adding the correct information in the future. And it would be advisable to come back with a material palette at the next meeting. You could start with a drafted materials board or some way to add into your drawing more specific specifications on the exterior finishes and materials you're using. All right. I think that's enough. This is a conceptual review, so we're not taking any action today. We're just going to move forward to the next item. We'll see you next time. Thank you for your presentation.
Mr. Chair.
Chair?
Yes.
Alex? Chair?
Yeah, could it come? Should it come to preliminary or conceptual review?
I'd be favorable to see this agendized for preliminary final in the next. Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, you gotta. I think I could. We haven't seen, it sounds like he's going to completely be redesigning his garage. So I think it's further conceptual because we haven't seen what this garage looks like, and it's pretty much 50% of his application is this other building. So I would say we turn on further conceptual unless there's any objection. Okay, so Joe, put this on the agenda for further conceptual.
Copy that.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Chair? Mr. Chair?
Yes, yes.
Can we please get the preliminary at least? Because the garage, I understand your concern, but it's just, we got to change the material, put the plaster. It's the box. It's 20 by 20 box.
I would absolutely love to give you preliminary. So come back with, look, you just conceded to redesigning 50% of your project proposal. You have two buildings you're proposing, and you just basically conceded to redesigning the garage to a completely different architectural style. So that you know, you're going to be back here on conceptual. I'm sorry, but you're moving in the right direction. If you're successful at that, you know, if you bring a wholehearted presentation forward with architecturally correct drawings, we could potentially move you forward after that quite quickly. And you seem to be on your way.
Thank you.
All right. Never give up. Okay, next item. Thank you. Let's see. Gubernador LLC, SFD, item 6.
I thought we just did.
And do we have our applicants?
Yes, I'm here. Sam Holroyd.
Welcome. Final approval of a 1,932 square foot single family dwelling and a 672 square foot detached garage. So this is was a vacant lot, and we have comments from the last go round. So again, we granted you preliminary approval with the following comments, and maybe you can just bring us up to speed on where we've last seen the project, and let's use the SBR comments from the last meeting as an outline to move this forward. It looks like we've got some landscape stuff on item I. Engineered look of hillside, again, a little bit more landscaping there. Pathway to stairs and landing landscape, wheel couch, and a materials board and darker stucco plaster was asked for. So why don't you walk us through those items?
Yes, so let's see if we could jump to sheet A1.1 site
What page
plan.
is that?
A1.1, actually better than that is C1.2.
Can you tell me what page of your PDF that is? I don't have.
Oh, I see. It would be page.
Looks like page 20,
Possibly.
20 or 21, 19.
Let's see. How do
Yeah, 19 and 20. How's that?
I think what I need is trying to find. Yeah, I'm not sure. So I think if you go back towards the front to be beginning, keep going back. Okay, down. It's the second page of the grading. So I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
There's the first.
Here you are.
Okay, there you go. There you go. So you can see on the cut slope that's at the top of the page to the left, I altered the contour lines to give a more, like you say, a less Caltrans look, and kind of manipulate it a little bit more.
Right.
The pathways are shown on the landscape plan, which is further down.
The last 2 pages.
I believe so, yes.
Hey, Alex. How do these site sections look to you?
Well, in general, drawings look pretty complete, to tell you the truth.
Well, he did them the way you like them. You should give him a thumbs up for that. Alex has a very specific request around that, as do I. All right, here we are.
Okay, so here we can see that I got footpaths moving around the property in the different areas between the garage and the main house, behind the ADU and behind the main house, and that other one there, yeah.
Okay, so the specific comments were to, let's see, show plant symbols at the mature size, show plants that are oak compatible, pare down variety of plants, do planting en masse, have larger scale group of plantings. We talked about the hillside.
Yep.
You just talked about developed pathways, stairs and landings. We can see those. And then we need to see your WELO calcs. And then once we're done with the landscape, we'll look at the material board and the stucco. So why don't we address the kind of voluminous elements in the comment I.
Right. Comment I?
Yep. Comes after H, right before J.
Sassy. I like it.
We're working in code.
One that I only have up to G. Can you read to me? I'm afraid to ask what I.
Yeah, so item I was show plant symbol at the mature size, show plants that are oak compatible, and then pare down variety of plants, do planting en masse, i.e. have larger scale group of plantings.
Now I see what's going on. For some reason, the document that you were just looking at starts, the one that the approved minutes starts with A and yours starts with H. So I'm going to have to try to.
Yeah.
Okay. So we simplified our palette, and we showed our plantings at full development, and we pared down the variety and put them more together so they weren't so shotgun approach, spattering of variety.
Okay, and then do you have this second page looks, do we have a WELO calculation somewhere in the set?
So I noticed yesterday that it didn't have the Moello calculations. I sent those to Willow yesterday, hoping that they might be able to be brought in through the box to the submittal.
So you sent the WELO calculations to Willow Brown, the planner.
Right.
Just to make sure everybody got that. That's a little bit, it sounds like a nursery rhyme. Okay, got that. So they're not, we might not need to have you come back on, we'll probably, if that gets in the way here, we might have to have you come back on consent to handle that. But we've got detail, we got elevations.
Actually, it does
so
look
can we
like,
go ahead, sorry.
It does look like there is kind of a different formatting for the MAWA and WELO calculations on the irrigation plan.
Right, we did that one, but we did your standard boilerplate application form and attached that. So we have both now, but yeah, we do have our version of it there on the landscape plan, on the irrigation plan.
Okay.
And it does comply.
All right, good. Let's talk about your plaster color and your materials board. Where can we see those?
So those are also in the box. I submitted everything through box, and if you can access.
I just have one file in there. So I just have this one document we're looking at. So tell us what you did. Tell us what you did on the plaster color.
Yes. We did a darker version of.
It says, I'm gonna help you out here. PPG 1407 Scotch Mist.
Yeah.
And that's the wall color on the exterior that you have listed, and then you have George Davidson GW Smith 18-inch tile roof, and then you have door and windows bronze and premium finish, and exposed wood Cabot Cordovan brown semi-solid. So I guess the question for the board will be whether or not they like Scotch Mist and whether or not they're able to reference that at their home office right now. So if anybody, I don't know if that anybody's got a color PPG fan deck next to them, bust it out and look at Scotch Mist. So that kind of covers all the items that were on the list. Do you have any further presentation you want to make before I put this to question?
Let me see. Color door materials board. The materials board for the garage is basically the same colors, and then just a wainscot kind of water table of the Eldorado stone there at the base, and then everything else. And
all right, anything else?
That's it.
Okay, looks like we're looking at the garage building here now and see the same materials called out. Yeah. Right, so any questions from the board? Anybody have a question for the applicant?
Well,
do you have any?
I have a question that the garage looks like it's board and bat once again. You know, and the house is stucco.
I had presented that in the beginning in the first meeting with the idea that what I was trying to achieve was the feel of an estate from the 20s or 30s that would have a carriage house that wasn't done in the same level of finish as the main house, because it's such a less important building. If you go and look at some of these classic old homes around Santa Barbara and Montecito, the carriage houses are always kind of, you know, more barn-like and not at the same level of finish as the home. And that's what the concept I was trying to achieve here. And in the response that was given by the board at that time, they liked the concept of using that kind of old school approach of board and batten, same colors and everything, same roof material, but downscaling it a little bit, making it a little bit less sophisticated.
Good point.
That's a good answer. You might want to share that with the last applicant. Anybody else have any questions?
What's your driveway material? I see you have that nice circular design in the middle of the hammerhead, but what else is the material?
It's going to be a California Gold chip seal.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have a question. Do all three structures have the same color, wall color, the Scotch mist?
Yes, they do.
Okay, any other questions? Any, do we have any members of the public that wish to speak on this item? Okay, having heard no request to speak, and I'm not aware of any public comment, we're going to close public comment and bring it back to the applicant for one last chance to present before I open it up to board member comments and see if maybe there's a motion ready to move this forward.
I think I've covered everything that I wanted to point out to the board, and so go ahead and.
Okay.
No, I wonder if you can get your materials board even emailed to Josh so that we can get it up, because we really need to have that.
Yeah, I can do that right now.
I'm going to let me make a suggestion to the board here. If somebody wants to, on the board wants to make a motion to grant, let's see, he's already got preliminary approval. So what we could do is create some comments and move this to consent for final approval with comments if there are any. It seems like we could refine this down. And potentially the only comments that we would have are to bring a materials board. In that way, you could, you obviously can move this into the building department at your own risk, but it's a pretty minimal risk at this point. There was some, but let's hear what the comments are. Does anybody have any specific comments that would be germane to where this project's at? I mean, you also need to bring in WELO calcs. That's the other thing I'm thinking about. So those two things are going to, and say again, Kaylee.
I have another landscape comment. Since the previous comment was to show the planting at its mature size, I think this planting plan is still presenting as somewhat conceptual. I think further clarification on what plant symbols pertain to what plant would be.
Do you like the conceptual design, or would you be comfortable seeing that show up at a consent with those refinements you're talking about, Kaylee?
Yeah, I think at a minimum we need the spacing on the plants because it's just too conceptual to read. Okay,
so I'm going to ask you to form a pretty specific comment around that, along with the requirement of WELO calcs and a materials board. Does anybody want to try and make a motion for? Well, actually, does anybody here have an objection to moving this to final on consent with those items?
No.
No.
Okay.
I have the PPG color chart 1407 Scotch mist on my screen. It is not a dark color, but this is a different situation. It's not a sun bleached exposure. This is coached amongst trees, so it appears to be an acceptable color, at least now, anyway.
Okay, does anybody else on the board have any objection to Alex's opinion about the color?
No.
All right, so I think we can make a comment, Joe, that the board finds the current proposed paint color of the exterior to be appropriate. The board would like to see this project come back with, on consent, with a completed color board, a WELO calculation, and then a very specific landscape comment that Kaylee's about to conceive here. Could you try that, Kaylee?
Yeah, let's see. Provide more clarity on specific plant locations on the planting plan.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I'd like to just ask a question. We kind of moved quickly through that about the screening planting between the buildings and the road. You've got the oaks, and I know there were earlier comments about having plants that would coexist with the oaks. Can the applicant just tell us about what the screening solution is for that band that runs? Because I assume you don't have any planting under the oaks per se, so it's
Right.
it's the next band of planting.
Yeah, and I'll add to that too. Kaylee, can you also define for the board here whether or not you think that the plantings are compliant with the oaks? That's a little bit over my head. I don't know about the rest of you.
Yeah, that's what drove my comment about the specific locations, because he has things combined like rosemary, which needs almost full sun, and chain fern, which needs shade and would be compatible under an oak. And it's just, those are grouped in one cluster.
Okay.
So
So that covers that item. So back to the applicant, the board member, Ms. Frosher, is asking about your screening. Can you and how you've actually treated the landscaping along the road edge boundary? Can you address that quickly, please?
Yeah,
Kaylee, if you want to help him out, you're welcome to jump in.
Pink flowering lilac, or sumac, I mean, is blocking the ADU and the
the pink flowering sumac, and then you just have, well, that's where you came in with the woodwardia, which is a large fern, and carpentaria, if it survives. Everything else is low in that plant grouping that I can see.
Mm.
You have one pittosporum, a Victorian box.
Right. And then the existing plum trees. And then over at the garage, we have the existing citrus. And then we're adding to that the lavandula, sweet lavender, yellow sage, donkey tail.
So that's all low things.
Kaylee, can you take a swing at trying to answer Valerie's question?
Could you say it one more time? Are you asking if there was additional screening added?
Yeah, I wanted to understand better what the screening program really is.
I would say for the garage, there hasn't been much added. It looks like the citrus may suffice, but we may need a photo to confirm that, because the spacing shows that you will still be able to see the garage. With the ADU, there are a few sumac, but I wouldn't say it's a screen to the ADU.
The area that is just to the
street. Hold up.
Sorry.
I want to try and nail this down. So Valerie, do you and Kaylee want to form a comment for that particular item, or are we satisfied with what's being proposed?
Well, I think Kaylee's comment about having more specific sizes and spacing and not having it be so conceptual for a final landscape plan ties in with a more specific addressing of the screening plants.
Okay, so I think the comment that I'm hearing is provide a specific screening strategy in the landscape plan along the boundary along the road side of the property. Yeah. Okay.
It's behind the oak trees, which are along the road. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna assume that unless there's any objection, we're gonna move this forward to the consent calendar with these comments. Any objections from any of my board members here?
No.
All right, Joe, just if you have any questions about those comments, speak now. Otherwise, good luck to everybody. And we'll see you next time.
Can I ask one question, actually, to Kaylee? Do you consider Pride of Madera invasive?
It's not, I don't believe it's considered a true invasive, but it does freely reseed. So I personally limit the use. Are you planning on using very much of it, Sam?
It just looks so good with the style of architecture that we're trying for. So I think we have a fair amount of it. It does spread itself quite happily.
Yeah.
But it's also easy to rip out.
I guess my comment would be to try to limit its use in this planting plan as you develop your massings.
Okay. Okay, so are we going to push that as a comment, or is that just a recommendation?
I can
You have
say
all
it.
the power. All the power's in your hands now, Kaylee. Use
Mine.
it well. Use it wisely.
I'll leave it as a recommendation.
Very good. Okay, so I'm also let's move that forward to consent with the comments we're given today. Okay. And thank you to the applicant. And we're going to move on. Before we move on, Kaylee, just a request that you could join me at the consent calendar going forward.
Okay.
I need a landscape architect on that consent calendar review. So we generally jump into the consent items around, well, lately we've been able to do it about 8:45. So we get into that about 15 minutes before we start up this meeting at 9 typically. So if you could be ready about 8:45 to join the meetings from here on out, it'd be good to have your landscape eyeballs on some of these projects. A lot of that's coming up, and it's going to be needed. If you could do that, it'd be great.
No problem. And I have to recuse myself from the next 3 items.
Okay, and on to that discussion. So it is now, by my clock, 10:50. So we're in a position, I don't see any reference to timelines on items lot 12, 13, and 14 today. So I don't see any reason why we can't barrel ahead here. And just with the board, unless there's an objection for the board, I'd like to see if we can plow through these next 3 items and be done by lunch here and conclude ourselves today. Is that acceptable, or does anybody have a burning desire to take a break here?
No, let's go ahead.
All right, we're gonna move this forward. So with that, we've got ourselves on to item 12. And I'm going to ask the applicant to do their damnedest to help me get out of here by noon. Somebody could, if there was a bar we could meet at and drink, so we could buy drinks and entice everybody. It doesn't sound like that's going to happen anytime soon. So,
sounds good.
So let's celebrate in our own way, but let's see if we can get out of here at noon today. So we've got Santa Barbara Preserve Lot 12, 13, and 14 coming up on the agenda. The applicants, please introduce yourself. We're fairly familiar with your project, so I won't go into the preamble about that. I'd like you guys just to kind of catch us up to date and then walk us through the SBAR comments and from the last meeting, and we'll see if we can move through these efficiently today.
Sounds good, Josh. Steve Fort with Suzanne Ellis Planning and Permitting is here. Our typical team, Aaron Heidi from Heidi Architects is here. Jeremy Saltz from Stantec. Martha DeGeisis from Arcadia is also here. And I'll hand it off to Aaron. I might like to comment or speak after public comment, perhaps, if I can be given the opportunity, but otherwise I'm going to hand it off to Aaron right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. Last time what we did is we went through each comment and identified the sheet that these comments occurred on. So we can follow that same format today so we can quickly breeze through the comments. They're fewer than they've been in the past, So I think we should make your lunchtime deadline if we continue on track. The first comment is that the landscape palette should be more native, eliminate blue agave and other bright non-native species. So I assume that will be on the landscape.
Yeah, let's see what we've got here. I've got the following drawings in front of me. Which one shall we start with, please?
Civil and landscape. Drawing,
It is.
civil and landscape.
Page, please.
Martha can speak on the comment.
You'll have to, Josh, you'll have to scroll through the civil, which I think is 3 or 4 sheets. Yeah.
You kind of jumped ahead on me. It's taking a minute here. All right. let me
Okay,
move
and back one.
Here, this right here?
Yes, please. So
Very good.
we have eliminated the blue-green agaves that we had. We've substituted a few aloes, which are green in color, and they bloom in the winter with a little orange flower. And then just jumping ahead to some other comments, possibly, we've added a considerable more number of oak trees for screening and additional native plants that are, we have several native plants that are to be locally genetically sourced on the perimeter areas. And generally we've toned down the entire palette quite a bit to be much more native looking and duller in color.
Very good. Any other, let's see. So let's go back. Any other comments? This is landscape palette, native. Screen. So can you talk about the screening a little bit?
Yeah, so again, on the perimeters and from the roadway view, we have added oak trees and we've added larger native shrubs, for instance, toyon, lemonade berry, sugar bush. These are plants that get up the toyon above 10 feet, the sugar bush 8 to 10, that sort of thing. So you can see these clusters of perimeter or the edge screening, how we've thickened that edge from the roadway and along the property line perimeters. So that was our response to that comment.
There was a comment about stormwater design. I don't know if that's on the landscape plan or civil plans. Can you guys direct us to that quickly?
Yeah, it would be on the civil sheets and Jeremy might want to speak to that, but basically the stormwater is daylighted. We've got quite a bit of property, as you can see, to dissipate.
By the way, before I depart to that, landscape lighting, is that shown here?
We're not proposing landscape lighting on these projects.
Very good. All right, back to the civil then. Is this the right sheet to be on for that?
Yeah, there you are.
Okay. And do we have stormwater protection or stormwater measures documented here?
Yeah, so the way that the stormwater quality was designed for the project was not on a lot by lot basis. Because it is a subdivision. We have actually better opportunities to collect the water and do it off of the lot so that it's not homeowners' individual responsibilities to maintain. So what we actually have on this project is a number of things. There's 2 detention basins. There's a restored wetland. There's actually quite a few facilities, but they don't take place on the lots, and there's no requirement for the individual lots to try to treat on their site. So the water's collected and taken elsewhere to more centralized facilities.
And I think that handles the question or the comment. So onto the architecture, gutters and downspouts be copper and painted to match window trim. And then it looks like we had a comment to show, or there was a comment. It doesn't look like comment was to increase overhangs to provide shade and address lantern effect. Consider recessed openings, and then darker color on the main body of the building is being called for. So let's look at those things, and then we'll jump this into questions.
Perfect.
Which sheets do you want me on? Architectural? Which one? Part 1 or 2?
Let's start with part 1.
Yes. Okay.
And you can go to page 15, 13, and 15, please. So at the rear elevation or the southern elevation, we've added additional covered outdoor spaces at the bonus room and at the master bedroom, and those are on the opposite ends of the south exposure. The window at the dining room has also been deeply recessed to provide additional shading to the interior, and the rake overhangs have been extended to enhance the shadow lines.
Talk about the gutters, please.
If you go to part 2 of this document, the color materials have been provided. On the part 2.
Right here?
So, yes, we have provided a wrought iron and gutter downspout color to match some of the other dark tones of this building. And as well, in response to the stucco color, the stucco has been darkened. We've provided additional supplemental information about the site if you scroll to the next page. This is a comparison of an actual image of the hillside and a comparison of the color. And the next page, please.
It's a pretty
Next
cool
page.
presentation. I like that. Oh, look at this.
This graphic shows the rear elevation colored on the hillside so that you can understand the colors that we're pulling and the shadows that will be inherently there from the overhangs that have been introduced.
And just to be clear, this is not a scale image or a photo sim. This is just meant to compare the photographic image to the rendered image in terms of color palettes, right?
That is correct, yes. We've used the same image for comparison through all the lots, to be clear.
All right. Okay, very good. I think that covers all the comments. So with your permission, I'd like to go into questions from the board, and then I'll give you a chance to make further presentations after we've heard from public comment.
The only addition,
keep this moving. Go ahead.
The only additions to this presentation are these sheets. The detail legend and additional details have been provided to cover the design elements of this residence.
All right, very good. So I'm going to move to questions from the board. Do we have any questions from board members today on this item?
Not from me, no.
Just one brief question. The how you mentioned that you extended the rakes, and I was looking at detail 10. Doesn't have a number there. What's the rake dimension?
They're 16 inches.
16 inches. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, do we have any public comment today?
Mr. Chair, we do. So first we have Julia. Let's see. There we go. Hi, Julia. You should be able to speak now.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Julia, thank you for coming to speak. I'm going to give you 3 minutes of time. Please use your time wisely and keep your comments germane to our purview if you could, please. Yep. Thank you.
So I have sent in an addendum to comments for the bar meeting that I sent in last night. The addendum I'm going to start with regarding public view sheds per the, I believe it's the East Goleta Valley Residential Design Guidelines and Findings F and I in the Santa Barbara SBAR standards, which I believe you can comment upon. The photo that was taken from the Lawn Bowling Club in the Samarkand neighborhood at the corner of Samarkand and Herosa roads, you can see that the area outlined as red, in red, is where lots 12, 13, and 14 will sit. I will be able to see all the work that is going on at the San Marcos Foothills West property, the bulldozers, the grading, the building, the finished homes, the light from those homes at night, everything. I live a 10-minute drive away from the neighborhood. My views will be negatively impacted from the beginning of this project until I end up dying or moving. Do not for a second think that this will impact only the neighbors that are in the immediate vicinity. And I know that Santa Barbara, the SBAR has a neighborhood, you can comment on that. The eyesore that is the Boulders project that I mentioned at the last meeting is not in fact visible from so many vantage points, and that has been in progress for 6 years. The photo was taken with an iPhone. I included, as you saw, the map where I outlined the San Marcos Foothills West property, and the 5 numbered black dots show where I took additional photos from UCSB's Campus Point, Moore Mesa, the westernmost Patterson entrance, and Viejo Drive directly above Viejo Valley School. And
Dave, hold on 1 second,
yes.
ma'am. Sorry, I'm going to pause your time here. I'll keep your time, but we have a hot mic. If somebody could check their mic. I don't think it's you, ma'am. I believe it's somebody else. Are we good? It's hard to hear you with all that background noise. So
sorry.
You have about a minute and 15 seconds
I'll be done.
remaining.
I promise.
So,
I practiced.
Go ahead and
so
backtrack a little bit. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to tell you, I added a map where which has black numbered dots showing where I took photos to demonstrate that this is not going to be just a neighborhood thing. It's good. You are going to be able to see that impact will be seen all over Santa Barbara and Goleta. The photos provided by the architect developer to simulate the impact to the landscape and neighborhood do not capture the reality of the situation. I'm also going to speak specifically to item 7, lot 12, regarding the north elevation, sheet 16. The entrance, to my mind, appears too large and bulky in relationship to the rest of the home. I did note that windows have been recessed. I still think that even with a significant landscape shield, that the lantern effect, based on my photo of from the San Marcan bowling, I'll still be able to see stuff. And the fencing, if mimicking the style of homes.
That's your time, ma'am. Sorry. You'll wrap it up.
I'm done. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you for participating and your comments. Do we have any other public speakers today? Do we have any other letters or communications from the public on this project? Leah?
Mr. Chair, that is the only, oh, you know what? We just had Nancy raise her hand. Give me just a second.
Very good.
Nancy, start whenever you're ready.
Nancy, could you state your name for the record, first and last name? I'm going to give you 3 minutes to speak. Try to keep your presentation under 3 minutes and germane to the purview of this board on this project. Leah?
Mr. Chair, that is the only, oh, you know what? We just had Nancy raise her hand. Give me just a second. Uh-oh. Do we have somebody watching it on YouTube in the background? Start whenever you're ready.
Whoever's got YouTube in the background, you need to turn off YouTube so that we don't have this feedback. And germane to the purview of this board. Hey, Leah, can you mute everybody?
Mr. Chair, that is the only, oh, you know what? We just had Nancy raise her hand. Yeah, it's coming from Nancy. Nancy,
you're going to have to turn off YouTube in the background or we won't be able to hear you. So open her mic back up and see if she's resolved that. Nancy?
I am trying to speak, but there's so much echo going on. I don't know what's going on, if you can even hear me.
It's coming from Nancy.
Nancy, you're going to have to turn off YouTube in the background or we won't be able to hear you.
Hang on.
So open her mic back up and see if she's resolved that.
Okay.
All right, Nancy, are you with us now?
I did not realize that that was on. So. I am trying to speak.
All right, it sounds like you might have fixed it.
Okay.
Nancy, are you with us?
I can't see anything now, but can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great.
So this is the chair of the board. You're going to get 3 minutes to speak, okay? So please be mindful of the time and keep your comments germane to the purview of this board if you would. All right, I'm going to give you 3 minutes starting now. Go ahead.
Okay, my apologies for the conflict that I just caused with you.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, because most of the community is below the development, I am still concerned, even though the overhangs have been addressed, I'm still concerned about lighting. And I like the color palettes that you presented. That was very effective against the dried grasses. One of the things I'm still concerned about is landscaping, because I feel like these homes will present green islands. I don't think the homeowners are going to have, you know, any required conformity once they're living there. That I'm concerned that there could be, depending on how we present the landscaping to the homeowners, that it could wind up creating a lot of green and unnatural, and in fact not blending in with the natural landscape. So I'm concerned mostly about lighting at this point and the landscaping. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your public comment. Let me try and turn this off. All right. So any other members of the public wish to speak on this item? Okay. And again, I'll ask, do we have any letters or any communications from the public on this item?
Mr. Chair, we just had that letter from Julia, which you have.
Okay, so we have the letter from Julia that we all have access to, all the board members have access to, and if anybody from the public would like access to that, we have it available for you. Okay, so I'm going to close public comment and bring it back to the applicant for any final presentation on this. Please be brief, and then we'll move into board member comments and see if we can move this forward in any way or not.
I would just be very brief. I don't want to, you guys have heard me say this before, that all this has been hashed out in an EIR that was certified when the project was approved. There are approved development envelopes that were established based on minimizing visual impacts across the community and from 154. You've heard all that before, so I don't want to take up too much of your time unless you have questions about it.
All right, thank you, Steve. Anything else from you guys? All right, I'm going to move it on to board member comments. Why don't we start with you, Alex?
Okay. Well, I asked for colors and details, and they were provided, and I have no more comments. I think the applicant has done what was requested.
Very good. Valerie, can you make some comments today?
Yeah, I think the big overhangs and the darker colors are definitely helpful to the whole situation. I do think that it would be beneficial to a project like this to maintain a native landscape palette even around the houses. And I don't know what the ability is to do that, but I think if ever there was a case for it, it's this as something that should be considered in the.
Valerie, can I ask you a question about that, Valerie? Just, do we think collectively that that's a contradiction from our previous comments about creating landscape screening? Because I'm concerned that the native landscaping, and maybe this is for Kaylee, isn't capable of doing the kind of screening that we seem to be being asked for by some of the members of the public and some of the direction we've given. Just
maybe it's more the plant palette, which I think has already been directed to them, and they've been adhering to it as far as toning down the colors of the plants. And I think it comes down to more the individual house sites once the houses are bought by individuals and they go to do their immediate personal landscaping, that if there was a plant palette that was in adherence to the overall development, it would be beneficial.
Got it.
So not natives per se, but in keeping with the low-key, more native type tones that have been established in the overall palette. And then my only other comment that I really appreciate the photo sim showing the colors it's in drawings architectural part 2, but the one gable really jumps out on the south, and I don't know if that could be board and bat instead of stucco, or what would help it to be more recessive, but it's in the photo sim where it's set into the grassland. Page 4.
It's on part 2, right?
Yeah, it's in part 2.
Okay. Any other comments, Valerie?
Yeah, that's it. So there you can see how that gable end just jumps out.
Very good. All right, John, on to your comments. John, you're on mute. We got to unmute you. Sorry. There you go, John. You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. The only other point I had with regard to preserving a landscape through time, that people will change it and therefore defeat the purpose of, our efforts here, would be to post a landscape plan, on the wall of the building itself. I mean, what I've done before is where the sprinkler controller is, glued the landscape plan to the wall right above it. So, I mean, that's a thought. And, what I'm afraid of is what was mentioned before, that the landscaping can be diluted in time and defeat the purpose of having it blend in.
Okay. Any other comments about the architecture, or any of the comments that we gave this project comments from the last go around? Anything specific to those? Have they done what we asked them to do in the last round of comments, I guess is what I'm asking. Okay, Alex, comments from you?
I've already spoken.
I'm sorry, Kaylee, it's on to you. My bad.
She's recused.
Oh, she's not here. All right. Maybe I should wake up then. All right. I guess that's our comments. I don't have anything to add to anything. Not necessarily agreeing with any of that or disagreeing with that, but I don't feel like I need to weigh in on anything specifically here at this moment. So I'm going to give this back to the applicant if you want to rebut quickly to anything you heard there. Also, I know this came up on previous projects, so I'm going to remind us that there was some presentation that was made about how this project goes forward in terms of I don't know if it's a CC&R or some kind of land use permit requirement that governs how landscaping and fencing should be kept in place. Maybe you can address that, what mechanisms are built into this project's approval that prevent future owners from, I guess the term was, diluting the current landscape plans.
There are, excuse me, architectural and landscape design guidelines that have been recorded, and they're part of the CC&Rs for the property. Someone buys one of these properties, there's notices that are recorded that alert them that there are design guidelines that apply, and among other various things that went along with this project. So there is a set of design guidelines that follow along in the future that people are supposed to follow. And if they're going to make future changes, they're supposed to be applying for whatever permit might apply, whether it's an SCD or an LUP or that sort of thing.
And Steve, do we have those been made available for as part of this application so that these board members and the public can actually understand what those things say and don't say? Because it would be counterproductive to make comments that aren't taking those into consideration.
Yeah, we submitted them, I think, with our initial submittal on these and over at the Meadows as well.
We did.
Okay, and John, have you, since it's your comment, I'm just going to ask you, have you had a chance to review those?
No.
Okay, well, perhaps we can have those sent on to the board members again. It seems like this issue comes up repetitively. Is there any way to bring those forward today, so we can see what we're talking about here?
Is the planner available? Is the case, I'm not sure who that is. That Nicole, or who's the case planner for this project?
And
yeah, Nicole is the case planner for this project. I don't see her. Is she on the line?
Hi, I'm here.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's a basic, simple question. You know, like I think the question comes up, I'm going to exaggerate. If an applicant, I mean, if a homeowner 3 years from now decides to plant 6 palm trees on this hillside, what happens?
Well, I think it's kind of a difficult question. I think.
Well, it's probably up to the board of the CCNR, whose basically job it is to uphold the CCNR. So they have to, I doubt if that board's been formed at this point. Go ahead, Steve.
I'll just read you something from the guidelines. The second anticipated use of the guidelines reference for possible future changes or mods to the constructed residential structures. Property ownership will change, as will the needs of the residents. Guidelines are intended to provide continuity with the original design philosophy while accommodating changing needs of the preserved's residents. Guidelines provide the context, design philosophy, and means for making the desired changes, as well as specific design criteria. And there is discussion in the guidelines as well about, like I was saying, the level of permit that is instigated if someone wants to make changes in the future. And again, these are recorded.
So there's mention of a CCNR, which would be a homeowners association, that really doesn't apply here because nobody has control over them once they're formed. They're their own entity. But the land use permit has specific provisions in it that if any member of the public or any neighbor in that, or a homeowner in that tract wanted to file a complaint with the county that that a homeowner was violating the provisions of that land use permit, that would become a formal complaint and be followed up by county staff and potentially turned into a violation that would need to be remedied. That's usually the process. I'm trying to simplify that, but does anybody have any objection to what I said? I just think it needs to be clarified so that this issue gets put to rest so that we're not revisiting it every time we talk about these projects. So I'm just trying to give that some air so everybody can be comfortable with a way of reviewing this.
What you just stated is correct.
Does the planning staff agree with that? Just to balance that.
This is Nicole, and yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I mean, you could, Nicole, you're welcome to respond to if you'd want, I guess, or you can correct me if I'm wrong for this specific project, but essentially, if a landscape plan is approved as part of a BAR application, that's going to live with the project. And then if someone comes in later and changes the landscaping that was approved, then they would need to get approval with the planning department to make sure that it is consistent with that previous approval. It's not something that we would be monitoring, but would be more done on the enforcement side if someone was turned in for a violation.
There you go.
Nicole, was
Right, so
does that make sense to you as well for this specific project?
So I guess what I would add on this specific project is that there, as far as specific conditions that they have, there's conditions that require it to be native and Mediterranean landscape, and then there's conditions that require BAR approval and, as you referenced, conformance with BAR approved plans. But I do want to just be clear with everyone, because I think this question has probably come up with the various BARs at various times. If there's a clear violation of a landscape plan, yes, but it comes down to the same thing with colors and materials. At some point, there are activities that are exempt from permit review that aren't covered for the next 100 years of a project that could, potentially result in changes. And that's not unique to this project. That's the case with any project that the BAR reviews. That planning department does not have the capacity for the next 100 years to make sure that every home, stays the same exact color that was approved by the Board of Architectural Review at a particular point in time.
All right, great. So I think the summary is here, there's some element of control placed into this project. Whether or not that's enough control for everybody involved, I don't know. So our feeble attempts to control the future are clear. Let's move on. We'll move on. But let's have the board members make comments with that context, at least relevant to the discussion. So, all right, so we've got comments. Any other presentation, I think is probably redundant at this point. So we have this project here for preliminary and final. It's agendized for that. Any board members want to make any motions today? Or
I will move for preliminary and final approval.
Okay, we had some specific comments that were addressed today that may need to be part of that approval. Alex, can you work with Joe here? There was some kind of convoluted discussion there. I don't know how clear it was.
I was not aware of conditions. Has anything changed? I think it needs to clarify that the rake is going to be 16 inches because it's not noted. But other than that, I don't know what other conditions we're talking about.
Valerie, did you want to push forward any comments as a condition of that approval around your discussion on the landscape material? It's going to have to be pretty specific, I think, at this point.
Yeah, no, I think it's more of a recommendation to the applicants, given that these projects seem to be getting appealed as well, of just trying to think of other aspects to help make this a successful project. And I do feel that south elevation gable should either be board and bat or something. This house, the entire house is one color, so there's not really an opportunity to do darker on that, but you could make that board and bat.
All right, Alex, back to you. Is that something you want to add to your motion, or do you want to try and make your motion without that?
I don't have any problem with that, but I'd like to consult to the architect, because I don't want to make an arbitrary decision. Somebody really thought about this house. So are we talking about just the gable end that I'm looking at in the south elevations, of that element only? It starts, it wraps on itself. And then, is that what we're talking about? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's give it a shot here. So Alex has made a motion for preliminary and final. It's submitted. Does anybody want to second that?
Yeah, I'd second it.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Let's vote. Let's see what happens here. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
You can look at my comments as a recommendation, not a condition.
Yeah, I think those were pretty clearly stated. So anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. On to the next item. Okay, now we're moving on to preserve lot 13. Right, so let's follow the same template here, and if we could pick up the pace, that'd be great. Landscape palette should be more native. You've already introduced yourself, so I'm going to skip that formality. Landscape palette should be more native, locally sourced wherever possible, eliminate blue agave and other bright non-native species. House wall coverings improved in terms of bleeding into the natural setting. Home should be screened as much as possible from distant views. Improved coordination of details. Materials shall be a high quality, two-piece mission tile roof, not a mix. Roof tile to be mission tile. We got the same comment here, not S tile. Provide additional sun control elements at south. One SBAR member stated that gutters should be painted out to match window system. One SBAR member stated that gutters and downspouts should be copper. Board suggests developer include CC and Rs in the use of native plants. I think we've just discussed that. I think we can all agree that that applies the same here to this project. Our previous application discussion on that matter. Appreciate the efforts to reduce hammered turnaround. Show stormwater control elements on plan. That element was discussed on the last application, and it applies to this application as well. So let's not waste time on that either. Need to show landscape lighting on plans. I believe the last presentation was that there are none on the previous application, so perhaps that's going to carry through here. We'll find out. So why don't we start with the landscape again, and then we'll move to the architectural elements and site elements, unless there's anything else that's changed about this. Maybe back to the applicant. Do you have any comment about anything that's changed since the last time we've seen this? And then maybe we'll go to landscape and then back up to architecture.
There have been no architectural changes to this presentation other than what has been requested by the board.
Okay, so let's move to the landscape drawings. I believe those
that will be a separate
here.
file labeled visible.
There we go. There we go. So just quickly for the record, no landscape lighting on this project as well, yes or no?
Yes, no landscape lighting.
All right, and then the stormwater measures are handled in a site-wide, not a lot-specific manner as before?
That's correct.
Okay, great.
And that basin that you see there is not,
part of, it's part of the big enchilada. Let's go into the landscape specific comments. Keep us moving here. So why don't you go ahead and present?
Once again, we've deleted the blue agaves. We've limited that type of plant. We have a few aloes in its place, again, close to the house. The landscaping on the perimeter, on the edges of the developable lot area, we've added screening, toyon, sugar bush, rusovado, lemonade berry, the larger growing native plants. Again, the palette conforms to the situation. So basically dull colored plants. And again, the plants closer to the house, yes, they're Mediterranean. So they're some Australian plants and so on, but they're not brightly colored. So I think this all conforms to the request from the board that we limit the plant palette color. And I'm just going to comment that, if we pushed an all native plant palette right up against the house, in my experience of 30 some odd years, homeowners replace those over time because they don't look tailored and tidy. And so I think our choices of some of these Mediterranean species are a better choice over the long term.
Very good. All right, to any other landscape presentation?
I don't think we need any more time on the landscape.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's go back to the architectural elements. Why don't you give us those?
Yes, so the first comment was related to coloring, and if you scroll to page 19, well, this is the details alone that were provided to supplement the architectural drawings. Page 19 through 22. Are the proposed colors. At the comment previously was that the coloring here is better in terms of blending with the natural landscape, so no stucco colors have been revised here. However, we have shown a gutter downspout color as requested, and the following sheets show this palette against the native landscape. The following image is the colored rear elevation on the same hillside. Again, not to scale, just for context of color and tone.
And I assume that these get carried to the both structures, yes? There's a,
correct.
I believe there's a smaller building on this property, right? A little guest house of some sort.
Yeah, there's a pool cabana.
Pool cabana, thank you. So that's the same palette there, right?
Correct.
Very good. All right. Any other presentation on that, responding to the comments specifically?
I would just like to mention that there are deep recessed doors and windows at the rear elevations, as well as shade structures in response to the comments about sun control.
Mm-hmm.
And
very good. All right, so let's move on to questions, and then if there's, I'll give you guys a chance for rebuttal after public comment. If there's anything else you didn't get in your presentation, you can hit it then. So do we have any questions from the board?
No.
Okay, no questions from the board. So we're going to move on to public comment. Do we have any speakers from the public who'd like to speak on this item? Give that a moment, Leah. Is there anybody that would like to speak on this item today?
We do. We have both Julia and Nancy. Which one of you would like to speak first?
Why don't we have Julia? Julia, do we have you with us?
Yes, you do.
Welcome back.
it
I'm going to give you same as before, 3 minutes. Please go ahead. I'll start the timer when you start speaking.
Okay. It'll be shorter. I've practiced. My comment about item 8, lot 13, regarding mass bulk, looking from the north elevation, vantage point and the end of the cul-de-sac, I take exception to the very large 3-car garage which faces the street. It's a snout house. Regarding windows, I did note that there are deeper recessed doors and windows. I feel like the lantern effect will still be present at night from Samarkand and Lomboling, the Samarkand Lomboling. So we noted when we looked at the plans the other day that the Eastern Goleta Valley Residential Design Guidelines ask that developers avoid raising the building pad above the existing grade to minimize downslope view issues, and lot 13 pad is primarily infill, not nestled into the slope. And then the fencing, if it is indeed like the ones down on Cienegüitas and is split rail, it will be very visible due to the thousands of split rail posts all over the property if it mimics what I've seen on Cienegüitas. Thank you.
All right, very good. Julia, I had a question for you. You said something about the garage. Did you say a snout house?
Yeah.
It
just,
I just didn't know if I heard you
what
correctly.
I call, okay.
Like, because it's protruding out like a snout is what you mean, right? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I learn something new every day. I haven't heard that one, and that's a new one for me. So I'm going to try and remember that. That's a good descriptor. All right. Thank you.
Excellent.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I had to indulge that. I've never heard that one. Okay. All right. Do we have another public speaker?
Hi, can you hear me? This is Nancy.
Yeah, we can hear you, Nancy. Loud and clear. Go ahead. I'll give you 3 minutes.
Okay, I don't know if it's possible. I noticed with Julia's comment earlier, we were able to look at a visual from a message she sent, and I sent in a message too. I don't know if you got that, sent to Leah Graham, with some photos also from outside the area, just to get the perspective. If that's at all possible to display, that would be great for everyone to see, whether you're doing it now or later. In any case, still concerned about the visual impact throughout the community. There's quite a big radius where people can view the foothills from all around, and closer by, just the concerns about the sites being built up, the grading that do make these lots more high profile, despite that they're one story. Looking at the story poles, you can definitely see how high they will be. So I am concerned about the scale of that. And then just to repeat what I said for the previous lot, concern about lighting, whether it's the glare of the sun. I think we've all experienced that from other parts of town. This being so high profile would definitely present times of glare. Despite I can understand the overhangs that have been created to help with that. I'm concerned about that. And at night, the lighting too. And again, the green islands, the escape of the effect of the landscape long-term, again, as I believe it was Valerie presented, people will change things. I believe that these will be large green islands and that will not fit in with the natural landscape. And that's it. I hope you are able to look at the visuals that I sent in of photos that I think supplement what Julia shared earlier of the view from other vantage points in town. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your public testimony. Appreciate it. It doesn't appear that we have any letters or any other further communications from the public. So I'm going to move back to the applicant. Do you have any, let's see, I lost my place. Where am I? Question public. Yeah, any further comments from the applicant?
I don't, nothing beyond what I offered on the last lot.
Okay, let's move on to board comments. Do we have anybody want to, let's see, why don't you start, John?
No, I have no comments, no further comments.
Thank you. Valerie.
I've been out to the job trailer several times looking at the updated color boards, and it was interesting. This one actually, I think, was one of the ones that was darker than a lot of them before, but it reads kind of pink in the sun and in actuality. So again, I don't know if I would make it a condition or just a recommendation, but I don't think it's a great color. I can see what you did to try to match the block that it's mixed with, but I think it would be better as going toward browner tones than the pink. So otherwise, I don't have any different comments. My landscape comments are still the same. I think it would benefit the whole project to do whatever can be done to have a built-in system for low-key colored plants. I appreciate what Martha said about the plants. The Mediterranean palette is stronger than the native in the long term, so that's good. Anyway,
All right,
that's
great. Thank you. Alex, anything from you?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
I don't have anything to add either. So we have a project here agendized for preliminary and final today. Does any board member wish to forward any motion here? Propose any motions?
Well, okay, I'll make a motion for preliminary and final. I don't think there are any stipulations to add to that.
All right.
Second the motion.
Okay, so seconding the motion. Motion has been seconded. All those in favor of the motion to preliminary and final as submitted?
Aye.
All those in favor? Sorry. Aye. Okay, opposed? Okay, motion carries. Just on advisement to the applicant, consider, the comment about the color. I don't think there'd be any problem in pulling some of the red out of that either. All right, on to the next item. Okay, we're on the home stretch, folks. We've got one last item, lot preserve 14. Again, let's see, let's go through our minutes. Stucco color needs to be darker, so that's again there. Sun questions around the awnings and shading again. Landscape palette, same comment as before, I believe. This is a unique comment to this project, I believe. Provide additional evergreen or large shrub along western side of house to help screen garages. Home should be screened as much as possible from distant views. One member stated that trellis elements were good measure to mitigate concern about light and color palette, shading elements, dark and southern elevation. One SBAR member stated that more shade elements should be provided, increase overhangs, and shade to minimize lantern effect. And then again, we have the comment about stormwater and landscape lighting, which I believe we've covered that, and we'll probably find that this is the same. So have the architects tee this up, let us know what's changed since the last time we see it, and we'll do what we did before. We'll go to the landscape and then back to the architecture and then on to questions and public comment.
Great, so part one, you can move to page 11. On the southern exposed elevations, we've deeply recessed the windows and the doors. As you can see on the plans, the rake overhangs have also been extended to enhance the shadows.
Okay. Is there any other architectural comments? Yeah.
No, other than color, but that can be most visible on the document part 2.
Okay. Is this it here?
Yes, we've considerably darkened the stucco as well as the siding and adjacent trim, and gutter and downspout colors have been provided. The following 2 sheets are similar exhibits to the previous, where we've applied that to the site for reference.
Very good. All right, why don't we move? You got a little bit different lighting fixture on this one. Okay, let's move to the landscape architect's presentation. I guess I need to go to the right sheet, sorry. Here we are. Again, just for the record, the landscape lighting is not, there's not a part of the scope of this project. There's no landscape lighting proposed.
That's correct. No landscape lighting is proposed.
And again, for the record, the stormwater mitigation is part of the overall development, not a lot specific, right?
That is correct.
Okay, good. So let's talk about landscape, and then screening, I think, was the big item.
So I think on this this sheet, you can see that we've considerably thickened up the tree canopy on the western edge of the property there, screening those particular elements. And again, the same comments, Mediterranean plants toward the house, and then filtering out to the native plants on the edges. And then I'll just add too that the area that you see the large hatches, that's hydroseeding that we leave non-irrigated. So it's a mix that's native hydroseed that will brown out like the rest of the surrounding hillside. So we've got most of the landscape is that material. So that's going to present a more muted quality to the landscape as well. So again, we're adding native plants that will be locally sourced. We've added those to our palette and adhered to local genetic stock from Santa Barbara natives that would select the genetic stock from the local area here. I think that's.
Can you describe how that's that's again for me an unusual requirement. How is that actually documented?
It's shown in our plant list under the heading native plants. So we have a few down there, and we've compiled, we've adhered our plant palette to what is available from Santa Barbara Natives. It's a local nursery that does collection and grows native plants from specific areas of Santa Barbara and up the coast and so on. So that's how that's how we selected those.
And that's been done on the previous applications we saw today as well in the same way?
Yes, correct.
Hey, Joe, I just have a quick question. Is that enforceable? And how realistic is this?
Well, would you mind sweeping the dirt off the?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? I missed that.
Well, they made a specific notation in their plans that attempts to enforce that the landscaping be sourced locally through Santa Barbara Native Nurseries. Is that enforceable?
I think that would be difficult to enforce. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I do too.
Could I respond to you, Josh?
Well, I'll give you a chance. Let's hold on to that. Just make a note. Let's move it forward, but I'll bring it back. Well, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to add that per the conditions of approval, the applicant funds, the acronym is EQAP. I think it's environmental quality. There's an environmental quality
assurance program
monitor, an actual monitor, a guy named Larry Hunt, biologist, that the applicant funds to monitor construction and monitor build out. So I just wanted to let you guys know there is a staff person that the applicant funds to do that.
Okay. All right. So you have a kind of a compliance, and that's appointed by the county, or?
The applicant pays for it. But it's under the county's oversight. It's essentially a county.
It's a
consultant.
Yeah, it's a county consultant that goes. It's all contracted through the county.
Very good. I think that handles the issue. All right. Well, I guess they'll do their best with that. Anything else from the landscape?
No, I think that sums up what we have to present today.
Okay, thank you. Back to the architect record for the architectural items. Anything else to add to your presentation?
We did go over all the items related to color and the screening at the rear.
Very good. So I'm going to bring it back to the board for questions. Valerie, do you have any questions?
No.
John?
No.
Alex?
No.
Okay, on to public comment. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item today?
Yes, we do. Okay, let's see. We have Julia and Nancy again. Mr. Chair, do you think that you can send your email? I just got Nancy's email and I forwarded it on to you. It has the pictures that she's referring to.
I do. Let's see. Give me a moment, please. Is this Julia's email?
Yes.
All right,
No,
Nancy, why don't
Nancy's.
Nancy's. Okay, Julia, why don't you go first? Nancy, I'll work on queuing up these images so that we can present those. Go ahead. Again, 3 minutes. I'll start when you start. Oh, you're muted. Go ahead. Who's going first again?
Me.
Julia or
me?
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
So I actually want to say thank you, to the landscape architect. The designs look a lot better than they did. Thank you very much. And this is, so when we looked at the plans yesterday from my purely aesthetic standpoint, that there are materials placed vertically and horizontally on the front of the home seen in the north elevation. And to me, they're distracting. The design detail merely adds confusion, not a whole lot of interest. regarding view shed from the preserve trail, the proximity of lot 14 and the home to the steep slope below the lot and to the southwest, because there's a very steep slope there, will cause the house to appear to loom over the trail to the preserve and cut off mountain views. And then my comment about retaining native plants on the list due to the very sensitive habitat adjacent to the development. I appreciate the work that's being done on that. Thank you. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Our next presenter from the public is Nancy. Could you state your name for the record, and then I will see if I can pull up this. Still trying to pull these images up. Give me a second. Oh, here we are. Okay. Moment. 1, 2.
Okay, I'm muted, right?
3.
I'm gonna lower my hand. Ah, sorry.
Okay, so image number 1, image number 2, image number 3. So I have your 3 images that you submitted. If you can see those on the screen, that's what I'm presenting. So just let me know which one's most important to you, first, second, or third, whatever. But I'll start the clock when you start speaking. 3 minutes.
So that's, yeah, she's not, there's no. It's probably, it takes way time. Are you muted, Nancy?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Nancy, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yes, the photo that you have there is good. I think that certainly this view is a typical view. Okay, well, and then the others are just zoomed in versions of the other, just to demonstrate what a large swath of the landscape it is. I mean, I'm sure everyone is aware of that, but again, just to demonstrate how large it is. And this is from the side, this is not looking directly on. And so again, my comments are the same as for the other lots, which is concern about light pollution. I know that you have taken measures to address it. I'm not sure that it's enough based on what you see there. You can see that there'd be light pollution at night, and then the glare coming from the side, whether it from the west or east, the overhangs, unless the homeowners are, admonished to, have outdoor shades, there will definitely be glare. So the lighting and windows are definitely an issue still. And then also when you look at that grassland from a distance, the homes will definitely obviously be visible. They're high profile, but also will create those green islands we talked about, where they will definitely, in my opinion, mar the natural landscape, but be visible from throughout the community for miles around. You can see just how visible it is. So that's it. Just wanted to have the photos to go along with my comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your public testimony. Appreciate it. You guys coming today and bringing the public comments forward. All right, I'm going to close public comment. I don't see any other letters or communications from the public.
Done. Yes.
You got a hot mic. Not done yet. All right, so back to the applicant. Do you have any rebuttals or any further presentations before I turn this into comments?
Well, again, the locations of the landscape and development envelopes were established via a process back when the project was approved and reviewed and analyzed in the EIR, and even agreed upon when the project was appealed back then. And the land where the mention of the trail and the view, a potential view of one of the houses, that land was donated by the project as part of that whole process, just FYI.
All right, very good. Any other presentation from you guys? Me fine, folks. Okay, so back to my board here. Valerie, why don't you start us off? Do you have any comments?
Sure, yeah, I have a couple. Just that even though in the computer the colors look dark, the actual board is very nice. These are great colors. Appreciate the effort from the applicants on that. And then just a comment to one of the public speakers questioning the change in materials between the board and batten and the stucco. I think in actuality that will help. The texture of that will help the house to blend more into the surroundings. So I think it's a good thing.
Very good.
That's it.
Any comments from you, John?
No.
Alex?
I don't have any comments. I appreciate the fact that the applicant provided the details that we requested and darkened the colors. So, you know, I'm fine with I'm ready to move on.
Okay, why don't you make a motion if you're ready?
Okay, we make a motion for preliminary and final approval as submitted.
Do you have any seconds?
Yeah, I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And guess what? Just turned 12:01. We did it.
Nice work.
Thank you very much.
You guys did it.
Thanks,
did it with
guys.
5 seconds to spare. Thank you. Government in action, baby. All right. You haven't seen that in a while. Okay.
Motion to adjourn then.
Thank you.
All right. Does anyone want to second the motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
All right. Let's cut it off there. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good job,
Opposed?
Josh. Very nice.
Okay, we're done. Have a nice lunch,
nicely done,
everybody.
Josh.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks to our applicants. Bye-bye. Thanks, Leah and Joe.